Hello, friends, and welcome to Transformational Trails. Looking forward to having you with us today on this conversation. Our theme today is holding a space for healing. We'll be talking with Reverend Dr. Aemina Razzano and Dr. Lee Vance on this subject. Before we begin, we want to remind everyone that what we're talking about today is not a substitute for medical healthcare, mental health care, or it's not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any mental or physical illness. And if you're experiencing distress, please find help. There are resources on this video that will help you. And in the spirit of inclusivity and growth, we want to create a safe space, a respectful space for everyone. So if we do or say anything that it's unhelpful or offensive, please let us know. This is a space that seeks to grow and transcend and include, and it welcomes feedback as a part of that journey. Talking with us today, Reverend Dr. Aemina Razzano, who's a private practice trauma recovery counselor, consultant, hospital chaplain, and author of the book Healing Together, Trauma-Informed Care for Spiritually Integrated Communities. Dr. Lee Vance is a pastor and private practice inner transformation and stress reduction coach. Today, we're going to be talking about grounding, trauma education, and Christian contemplation. Lee, can you start us off by talking to us about grounding?
Yeah, thanks, Larry. Hey, everyone. Good to have everybody here again. Um, I really enjoy these grounding practices, and so I hope that you'll be willing to engage in some of them with us. Last time we did a lot of talking and providing of information, and which is really helpful to have concepts. But what's more helpful is to have experiences of growth and wisdom, and we can do that by grounding. I'm going to take us through what is called an orienting and grounding practice. Take about 2 or 3 minutes. Larry and Aemina are invited to join me in doing it. And if if you're watching this and you join in and you should feel um, uh, like it's not for you, then I want to encourage you to give it a try. If you feel, however, that it's really startling, for instance, it creates a lot of stress or pain or fear, it's not meant to do that, of course, but just like medicines that we take, sometimes there's unintended side effects. And so if during this practice you just feel very disoriented and very uncomfortable, please disengage with it. Just disengage, sit back, and get a glass of water, do what you need to do to take care of yourself. Okay, so the first one is an orienting exercise. So I just want to start by orienting us to the rooms that we're in. Everybody's in a room, presumably in a room, or maybe you're on a deck right now. Um, Knowing and feeling into the space that we're in is really important to begin, to feel safe in my space, this room that I'm in, and to feel safe in my skin, this, this body. So can we start by just orienting to the room? You can just join me in just looking around the room that you're in right now. You might notice decorations on the wall. You might notice some of your belongings. It may cross your mind that this space needs to be cleaned or organized a little bit better. Just let that thought come and go. Find 3 things in the room, and you're just going to note them, sort of like put a pin in them. So just those 3 things. Okay. And then in this space that we're in, there are sounds too, aren't there? What are three sounds that you can hear? Now, this might be trickier. Maybe there are sounds entering from outside. Maybe they're soft or subtle. Can you identify three sounds? And you'll notice that I'm moving my head around. Um, you know, I'm not just focused in one space. I'm scanning the room that I'm in. This lets my nervous system know where I am and that this is a safe place right here. This space with three different sounds in it. And then getting a little bit closer to ourselves. What are three things that I feel? Just naming three things that you feel in the body. So you are part of this room too. You know, there's no right or wrong answers. It's not important that it's not important what you come up with. It's just important that you can identify three different feelings. Okay, and now we've oriented to the room, we've oriented to our body. I'll invite you to close your eyes if you want, but if you prefer not to close your eyes and you just look at the ground in front of you, maybe just soften your gaze. And I'll invite you also to put your hand on your heart. And as you do that, you can feel the physical sensation of your hand up against your chest. And as you breathe slowly, you can repeat the words, I am here, I am safe. I am here. And when I say here, I feel my hand against my chest. I am safe. I am here. I am safe. I am here. I am safe. I am here. I am safe. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. You can come back to the room. You can remove your hand from your heart and just reflect for a moment. Notice what it feels like right now without judgment to have oriented to your space and oriented to your body. It would not be atypical for it to feel uncomfortable, especially if this is the first time you're doing it, the first time you've tried an orienting exercise, or maybe put your hand against your heart. Maybe it's been since you stood for the Pledge of Allegiance in school the last time you did that, you know. So that these are intimate practices, and so it's I want to encourage anybody who tried it. Awesome. it's okay if it doesn't feel like we've all entered cloud nine together. It's a practice. And so hopefully you felt some grounding, you felt some centering, you felt like maybe your heart rate dropped a little bit. But if not, that's okay. I encourage you to come back to it and try it again. Okay. So that's the orienting and grounding practice. It is really important to practice to gain a sense of safety. When I'm going through high stress situations in my life, when I've gone through trauma in my life, those kind of practices that we did together are something I would do on a daily basis. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Razzano now. She's going to talk to us a little bit more about safety and its foundations.
Thanks, Lee. One of the things I noted was that Zoom continues to not put my pronouns up, so I've changed it. That was one of the 3 things I noted in my room, and my favorite color, orange water bottle. So, talking about safety and trauma, I think the first thing we have to understand is that we have an automatic response to trauma. We fight, we flight, or we freeze. And that is so instinctive. We don't have to think about it. That's the whole idea of being instinctive. And what happens, our body, our brain in that moment changes. We have such a flood of chemicals, and they don't return to their pre-trauma levels. For some people they do, but for others they don't. And then you are left viewing the world through this response, through this brain that takes in information in different ways. And it tends to make you feel unsafe. Because what happens is your brain is trying to take in so much information to make it be safe that it isn't filtering out what it doesn't need to know. So for instance, when we were doing Lee's exercise, if you kept hearing a car go by, and let's say you were someone who had a bad experience with a car, noting that may have made you feel more unsafe. And you might be wondering, well, why? I felt maybe you didn't even realize it, but you heard the car go by and something and you went, oh, because that's a trauma response. And so one of the things that happens is that as we get to know our bodies, we have to be prepared for the fact that some of the things we are going to discover about our bodies can make us really sad. And so that's why Lee gave you such a gentle invitation to do this and a lot of information about what we were going to be doing, and encouraged you, if you can't go get a glass of water and do something for yourself. Because as we discover how to be safe, part of that is also having to unlearn and understand what makes us feel unsafe. And that is a big part of safety and regulation, is learning our bodies. And that means that we have to spend time in our bodies. And how many of us really want to do that? We like to think our way out of things, right? If I can read about this and figure it out, then it'll be okay. And unfortunately, trauma is inherently a somatic experience. It's something that happens to our physical body. And in that, everything shifts and changes. So we each have this ability to be tolerant of things that are around us. So for instance, right now, this weather in upstate New York is up and down and all over the place. And yesterday, I want to say it was like 51 degrees. And I saw some people t-shirts. I saw other people who still had a coat on. I saw some people with a sweatshirt. Everyone's tolerance is different. Everyone feels things and experiences things differently. So when we talk about a window of tolerance, it means what you feel comfortable in this section. And I'm talking about emotions, but I think it's helpful to think about the weather, because I want you to realize that it's unique to you. Lee's and Larry and my window of tolerance is not the same. I will never have the same window of tolerance as anyone else because I'm me and Lee's Lee and Larry's Larry. So your window of tolerance is different. So how do we know if we're in that? How do we know if we're the person that needs a sweatshirt at 50 or a total t-shirt, or the person I saw without socks, shoes, and shorts on without a shirt on yesterday running, playing in their yard? Maybe you're that person. We need to take cues from our body. At the top of that window is upregulation, right? Your heart starts to race. You get a little more fidgety, get a little more anxious, can't sit still. There's all these cues that let us know I'm starting to feel not so comfortable. But the other part of that window is downregulation. So, I haven't moved off this chair in 2 hours. And I have no desire to move off this chair. I haven't spoken in hours. And there's people around me that might want to hear my voice, and I just don't feel like it. I'm so tired, I can't think. That lets us know that we're out of our window of tolerance as well, and we need to do something about it. So our body is giving us cues all the time. And part of what we need to do for those who have been traumatized is learn those cues. Are we getting too high and we're going to go outside of our comfort zone? Are we getting too low and we're going to go outside of our comfort zone? And the whole work of recovery is to help you get a bigger window so you can tolerate more and know how to stay in that. Know how to take those cues. So again, it goes back to the body, being able to look around the room and know where you are and know how you're feeling, and understand that if your window of tolerance is really tiny right now, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. You're not doing something wrong. It simply means that you probably have experienced some trauma. And that's something that can be worked on. If the smallest thing sets you over the edge, or the smallest thing makes you freeze and you just don't want to move, is there trauma? Is there something that you need to deal with? And the good news is all of this is that there are so many ways to help your body and your mind and your soul recover and get back to a good, safe, comfortable space. So now, one of the things we're going to do is Lee is going to lead us in some contemplation that can be really helpful in helping us sustain some comfort and seek comfort.
Thank you. That was really good. It was really good. Thank you for all that information and those examples. It's so helpful to have the information and then the examples to go with it. So we're going to do, I'll tell you what we're going to do with this is Christian contemplation. And it's used as a way for to develop self-care. And I'm also going to weave in what I have learned from Buddhist practices. So I'm telling you that to say that you can have a rich faith life, and maybe this feels very healing to you. Or if you start to hear me sound like a pastor and it doesn't quite resonate with your understanding of God or faith, it's also used in Buddhist circles where where there's no strict theology, there's no belief in a deity, and so you can take what serves you and leave the rest in this practice. This practice that we're about to do is really about opening up and relaxing and allowing ourselves to sit in the love and grace and kindness and patience of our bodies and of God. The practical reason to do this and to try it, even if you can just do it for like 30 seconds, it's worth it. because our bodies do a lot of healing naturally, right? Like our bodies have immune systems and they keep us from harm and they heal on their own. Now we go to doctors and we get medicines and we get treatments that sometimes help to speed up the process, but any good doctor will tell you like rest, relax, let's bring the stress level down, right? Let's make sure we're eating healthy. Like there's so much that naturally happens to us in the healing process. But one of our biggest problems as humans is that we think we can do it better. So we get in the way of the healing process often by not relaxing around the hurt and not deeply resting. So that's what we're going to practice doing. And I'm going to sound like a pastor because I'm going to read you a piece of scripture. This is Matthew 11:28 through 30. I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to invite you into a practice again where we close our eyes or you just soften your gaze. Again, you're invited to disconnect from this if it really becomes uncomfortable, if it becomes triggering. Feel free to disengage with the practice. No problem. That's good self-care. Matthew 11:28 reads, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." You are invited again to close your eyes or soften your gaze. And we are going to explore for just a couple of minutes the healing process that does not take our work, but takes some faith. That could be faith in God. That could be faith in science, faith that your body can heal, wants to heal, will heal. This faith reminds us that we're held in a presence that is patient and kind and non-judging. You're invited to focus on your breath, allowing yourself to breathe however your body needs to breathe. It doesn't need to be forced. And then after a moment or two, I'd like you to visualize, bring a vision to mind of you, it being held in light. Maybe it's yellow or gold. Maybe it's the light of the sun. It's a very warm and comforting light. And it's in this light that you know that you are safe, and you are loved. Now that you've heard it, maybe you want to try it. Or maybe you tried it and then disconnected from it. And you're invited to come back again into that visualization of light. In that light, you are safe and you are loved and you are healing. And maybe it's just like those March, early spring days where after 100 days of clouds and freezing temperatures, it's like the sun just breaks through. And your body, you walk outside and your body doesn't tense up anymore because it's cold. You just relax into it. And there's just this sigh of relief. Like, oh, finally, I can rest in this. Now, maybe there are triggers in the rest. Like Dr. Razzano told us, maybe there's a sound, maybe there's a thought, maybe there's a feeling, and it's just instinctual, as she said. It just pops up, and there's something very disconcerting or uncomfortable. If you can, see if you can stay in that light. Again, if you need to disconnect, you can. If you need to take care of yourself, you can. But if you can tolerate it, if you find that it's within your ability to tolerate right now, then you can allow that trigger to be there in the light. Like you can be sick or hurting or hurt and be out in the warmth. And you can feel both at the same time. You can feel the warmth of the sun, and you can be real about the fact that something hurts. We don't have to hide our hurt or our wounds from God. We can bring them into the light. Nice job. You can begin to open your eyes, lift your gaze, and come back to the room. And as you do this, I just want to take a moment just to offer a congratulations. Like if this was the first time that you experimented with something like that, well done. It is a really it can be a really challenging thing to do and takes courage to do. So no matter how it went or how you think it went, well done for trying it out. And I just want to say really quickly that this in the scientific world, we'd call this a top-down exercise. So we're using a visualization in our minds to relax and heal and offer healing to our body. Before we did a grounding exercise, we felt sensations in our body. That's a bottom up exercise. So this one was top down. The mind can assist in healing the body, and the body can assist in healing the mind, and they work together. So thank you for trying that out. The last thing that we're going to do, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Razzano, and she's going to just give a brief practical takeaway for us today.
So sometimes when we are activated and we're stressed out, we need something kind of quick. And we also need something that we can do in front of other people. It might be kind of hard to do the one we just did if there's people around and you're getting distracted or someone's bumping into you. But here's the thing, math is your friend. It's one of your best friends. Now, my kids would tell you that is very strange. Those are very strange words coming out of my mouth because I didn't have great math teachers and I was convinced that I couldn't do math. But math is one of your best friends because math forces your brain to go from way back here, your amygdala, your hippocampus, your hypothalamus, all that stuff that's affected with trauma, and put it right here in your frontal cortex. So sometimes you need to start out with something easy, like what's 10 minus 3? And you might think 10 minus 3, that's so easy. I can do that with my eyes closed. I can do that so fast. That's not going to help me regulate. Okay. So then make it more difficult. 273 minus 21. You might think, oh, that's still really easy. Okay. Well, you can make it increasingly difficult for yourself. What's the square root of 14 divided by 2? You can make math as hard as you need it to be to bring you back to this moment. You can also make it as easy as it needs to be to get you here and to gradually move forward. There have been times that I am in an elevator with a bunch of people and I have so many things on my mind, and I am literally going, 10 minus 5 is 5. 15 minus 10 is 5. 20 minus 15 is 5. And believe it or not, even simple math will get me here. And then I can make it more difficult as we go. But that's something you can do anywhere in the world. So if you need something quick to help you ground pretty fast, try math and let it be your friend for a little while.
And no judging ourselves, Aemina, if our math is pretty simple.
No judging yourself. No judging yourself at all. No judging yourself if you only want to subtract things that you can count on your fingers, if you don't want to subtract more than 10. There's no judgment at all. And that's really important because you can get really stuck on that, like I do. I couldn't have told you the square root of something. I'd have to sit down and really think about it. And oh yes, no, I know that. But I would have to think about it. So there's no judgment. Also, the reason that we subtract is because for most people, addition is easier. And subtraction really forces your frontal cortex to work. Think about it. As kids, we learn to count going up. We learn addition before subtraction. So those are things that are even easier for us. So you want it a little more challenging, but you can start by counting if you need to. Whatever you need to do to be safe, using math is a wonderful thing. And this is an absolute judgment-free zone. And Larry, I think you're going to close us out.
Yeah, thanks to both of you for this rich discussion, for the practical things that you've given everyone to do in those moments when they really need them. Well, friends, thank you for joining us today. We invite you to let us know what you think of what you've heard. Share with us your reflections. There's contact information in this video. And we hope to see you again next month. Until then, may you be blessed with patience, compassion, and presence. May intuition guide you and resilience renew you. May you offer grace, clarity, peace, with the strength and love that honors everyone's healing journey and reminds everyone of their worthiness. Friends, be safe and be well. Bye now.